Welcome back to the PDR Coach podcast. Thanks for coming on today. Like I just told you, I'm doing the intro before. Here we go. Welcome. I don't think you need an introduction. Crystal,
it's me.
Push Metal, the workshop, CD Dents. Come on.
It's me. I'm in the house. Bring it in.
I love asking this question. Hopefully not everyone's going to get bored of it after I asked it to like 50 different people, but I just think PDR is such a unique little niche, and I'm always curious to find out how people found out about this and just like changed their whole life by started pushing metal around. So here you go. Yeah. How'd you find this weird little niche?
Well, so it probably found me. Dwayne was our dent guy, and I was working finance in a dealership for quite a few years. I got 22 years in the car business now, and he was our dent guy. I was freshly divorced and just kind of doing my own thing, and started hanging out with my dent man. So
yeah, dude, pushing dents. It's very attractive.
Into it. I know. I mean, come on. So about like a month into dating, he's like, I want to go out on my own. So I said, all right, let's go, and we seen a couple of attorneys, and he had a non-compete. And they said, the company, you could probably weasel your way out, but they're probably just going to hold you up in court. Do you have the opportunity to leave the state? So we bought a camper and a fifth wheel. And after about a month of dating, hit the road for about a year and a half.
Wow.
So I learned, so I learned maybe 2 weeks or so in the garage. And he's like, here's the dent board. I'm going to have you, pinpoint these dots. And I'm like, I don't know what what I'm doing. So I was like, all right, all I know is I'm going to be with my man on the road. Let's go.
Adventure.
Whatever you want. Yeah. So, so that's what happened. Texas Hill. So I was in charge of hoods, and they said, just don't F it up so bad that we can't fix it.
There you go.
So yeah, that's how it all started.
So were you ever inclined to work with your hands growing up? I know you said you're in finance in the dealership. I know you're a PDR tech now. Were you one of the you kids that helped your parents fix a car, helped your brother or sister do nothing?
No, I was more, it probably grew on me only, for the challenge. I grew up in a lot of very, very traumatic situations and very, just really extreme trauma and a lot of chaos for as long as I can remember. And so, I think that creates something in you, survival mode, challenges, going after things. So it wasn't ever like, hey, I learned this or seen this. I had no freaking clue. I had never turned around ever. But it was probably, hey, I found my love, right? And I wanted to go with him and support him. And I was like, let's go, sure, whatever.
That's pretty cool. I love that, especially after a month. My wife and I actually met my wife, and then we started dating, and we're engaged within like 8 months or something. And people were like, dang, that's crazy. So I'm glad to see other people doing crazy stuff with relationships as well. So I feel like, I first heard about you or knew about you through the Push Metal brand. And I can only assume, just because that's my own personal experience, that a lot of people were the same way. Maybe, is that fair to say? Do you believe that's the case? You were at a dent company doing dents, and then the Push Metal brand really kind of made you, I guess, well known in the dent repair industry.
Yeah. I say that that's a fair statement. And there was outside of discovering something, new, and developing that, Push Metal, a side of that was a strategy of connecting myself in the industry, and also trying to think outside the box, that if we, through the ups and downs of trying to figure out our wholesale, dent business, how do we connect further in the industry and really get in there to where if we had to chase hail, how do we connect? How do we, and push metal was it,
Yeah,
and it
sure.
just kind of took off. So
Yeah, I can definitely, tie onto the back of that with the podcast too. I think some of the greatest podcast stuff for me is that I get to connect with, people like you and all the other people in this industry who are running fantastic businesses, and I get to learn so much from them. And so that's part of it for me too. I mean, I do believe I'm providing value to a lot of people in the industry who listen to this.
yeah,
But on a personal level too, like I get that connection with a lot of fantastic people across the industry, and that, I mean, you can't beat that. It's pretty awesome. So you had
yeah.
the same way through the push metal brand. Where'd that idea come from? Because you look back, like looking back now, and if I looked at the industry today, I'm like, it's kind of odd that we didn't even have any sort of any brand of clothing or really anything at all. Now that you're here, obviously, like when you're thinking of the thing, it doesn't, it's hard to create that. But looking back, I'm like, it's weird that we never had any sort of brand for our industry in general. So obviously you came up with that idea and pushed forward to do that. Where did the idea come from? Did you have that thought too? And you're like, oh, well, I should solve that? Or how did that come about?
Yeah, so I know Justin Burdick had PDR Life Gear, which I didn't
Oh,
really
that's right.
know
Yeah.
until I kind of got going. So when I initially was looking at elements of the industry on where to plug in, how can I, kind of strategize and try to have some fun, with some things, I was like, clothes,
Mm.
right? Merch.
Yeah.
And all right, what do we call it? And I asked Dwayne, and I really was just praying about it, thinking about it, and I literally woke up and I was like, push metal brand.
That's
It's,
it. Done.
it's what we do, right? No brainer. It could be a lifestyle brand, blah, 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 blah. And step out after, 30 days of the initial, launch and selling a bunch of things, selling shirts and hats kind of sloughs off for a hot second because you're like, okay, it can't be about selling shirts and hats. I mean, everybody can get damn free stuff from all the tool companies, right? So
Right.
it wears off. So I'm like, all right, well, I know it's ingrained for a reason. There was just that feeling that, it needed to be something more. And so I asked myself, all right, I need to create emotional baggage. What does that look like? What am I about? Created the that grind, that desire, that perseverance, which is 3 words in a journey, so to speak, and just kind of took off, from there. And again, I know that PDR Life Gear was kind of already, on point in a different manner, but my stuff was just completely different, original. It wasn't a play off of, anything besides this is what we do. This is our blood, sweat, and tears. This is what we're living. This is what we're breathing. This is what we're pushing our kids aside for, to, have that opportunity to grow, in the industry. And it just meant it became so much more than just the hats and the shirts,
And that's true. I mean, that's like for any business, for any brand, for any marketing purposes, for anything like that. If you can create that story around it and create the emotional connection to it, that's where you can really excel as a business. And I talked to the guys that I coach about this too. In some ways, like who are you, right? Like, okay, we can fix dents on mostly cars, but also other stuff. But what kind of niche do you want to fill? What kind of purpose do you want to like, or do you want to take care of the middle class families that with multiple children and minivans? Do you want to do the hot rods? Do you want to do the classic cars? Do you want, like, who are you? Like, what are you besides just a guy that fixes dent, or gal, the person that fixes dents? Like what's your brand? And that's the thing with that push metal. Like, cool, it's a shirt, like push metal shirt, dent craft shirt, whatever. But like the story behind that. And same thing for dent repair. Dent Pro, cool. Bullseye, cool. But what is the story behind what you do? So I think that's super important. A takeaway for everybody is to think about when you're running any business, you have brand t-shirt or a branded dent company. What are you? It's more than just drive to your house and fix a dent. It's got to be, if you want to be successful, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. I love that. I love that brand. I think it's really cool. I've actually said, I talked to you about this. I'm like, I tell, for my PDR Launchpad guys, I tell them when it first started, I was like, because people say, pushing metal or fixing dents is very important, and it's good to be good at what you do and good at our craft. But to be perfectly honest, the soft skills, the business side is probably more important. So if I had two people and one guy was the best dent repair technician ever, but he couldn't talk or sell or do anything, doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
If I could fix dents 80% and sell, I beat him every time. So anyways, I tell these guys, like, it's good to know how to push metal, but you got to be able to get metal to push, right? You got to do that first. And so I don't know. I just like the brand that stuck with me. And I know I asked you like, hey, am I allowed to say this to people? Is that cool?
Yeah. Well, and really, if you think about it too, you know, when we're talking about journey and what we love to do and things like that, you know, on the you know, topic of just marketing, you know, people spend a lot of money on like trying to figure it out, you know, and sometimes, you know, just having people come along the journey and helping them understand who you are and what you're about, and putting feelings and, you know, just that baggage around, you know, your business, around you, you know, and when people see the passion and when people see just the heart of just everything, it's very attractive. So your marketing becomes fun. It's a fun element to, you know, you don't have to be boastful and things like that, but, you know, having people just come along with you, you know what I mean? Like it's just even with the dent business, you know, and you build opportunity and levels, and it's marketing, but it's bringing everybody along with that journey and telling that story, and letting people know this is my life. It's not a job. This is my life. You know, we use our eyes and our body, and it's very, you know, wearing, this is our life, guys, right? So it better freaking mean something. It better mean something. So that's just how I view that, you know?
Yeah. I love the way that you talk about that, because it's like on a deeper level. Like you said, like there's an emotion there. And like with the push metal thing, it was like, you know, it came to you one day and you're like, it was there for a reason, right? Whether you believe in God or not, but he put it there or whatever. Like, I feel like I'm supposed to do this. Like you talk a lot about like in those terms and feeling and anyways, have you always been that way? Like talking like that, like, you see what I'm saying? Like how you're explaining things.
I it's taken a while to identify and settle in on my own attributes, and understanding and settling in with myself, and understanding
who you are.
who I am, what I'm about. Why am I waiting on validation and the okay from everybody else? Like we don't always get it perfect, right? But we have to move our feet. We have to move, you know, just every fiber. It just creates it. It puts something to everything. So when we move and we get rid of, you know, baggage and things that we might have been chasing, accolades and things that maybe they are good, you know, and you can have accomplishment and success, but when you get to a point where you just get settled with yourself and you're like, damn, I've got this, right? And you just can just put some focus and just a different type of energy to it. It becomes kind of powerful for you, you know, and you have to hone in and know where to steer that, right? You have to intellectually sometimes strategize about that, but never fall away from it's there for a reason.
Yeah. This is why I wanted to have you on, because I mean, we've, I guess, met each other at MTE. I've kind of known each other a little bit, but we've talked on the phone recently a couple times, and just the way that you present things, I enjoy. And people that listen to my podcast understand, like, I really don't talk much about fixing dents and tools and all those types of things. It's really a lot of the deeper level stuff, which I will call mindset, as a general whole. And I love the way that you explain it like that. It's so much more than just, you know, marketing and pushing dents and taking care of customers. There's like so much stuff on the background of it. And I think if you don't ever tap into that, or don't ever understand who you are in that, you really are limiting your potential in life in all areas. That's the way I feel about it. And this question might seem a little bit out of left field, but because we've talked for so much over the phone, it won't be for us. So the people listening just have to deal with it, I guess. But what are some of the beliefs you have now about yourself or where you're at that have helped you move your business forward? Because if people follow you, the Push Metal brand is moving forward. You just opened up a whole nother section of your shop. I mean, you've had the workshop, which we'll talk about. Like, what beliefs have you had that have helped you excel in business?
Yeah. That's a really loaded question and a big question, right? So if I had to maybe kind of pinpoint a couple things, it is, and I'm sure some of us can relate that are watching this, it's to take pause and stop living vicariously through maybe fantasies or things that we see, on other business pages or other people, Facebook pages, and really settle in and figure out, like, literally write down, what's my attributes? What are my gifts? How can I present those particular things in a manner that's mine? How can I step forward in my way? Because I need to create my value boundaries. And when I have found that when I tap into a couple of those elements of, I get to make the rules, right? And when people kind of acknowledge that and see you, there's a different there's a different trickle effect, and it's very attractive, and people want to be a part of what's fun and exciting, right? That's a natural law, I guess.
So if I could sum it up, I would say, like, as far as a belief system, because if people people listen to my podcasts regularly, they know I have a mindset that I use. I call it the BEAR mindset because it's fun to make acronyms for marketing purposes, to be perfectly honest with you. And the BEAR mindset stands for beliefs, environment, action, results. So the first thing, if you want to have a result in your life, the first thing you need to do is have a belief in that it's possible, that you're capable, that you have the gifts and talents to be able to do that, etc. So that's why I focus on belief so much. So is it fair to say that you have a belief that you have certain skills that other people don't have, and if you use them correctly, not other people, that not everybody has, and if you use them correctly, then you can grow your business that way? Is that fair to say?
Absolutely, but I also remind myself, where I come from. I also remind myself, every once in a while, that, and some people, may not, probably many people may not know this, but I'm 14 years of doing drugs and being a drunk for 10 years. I had extreme trauma and extreme baggage and didn't understand how to navigate, life appropriately. So when you overcome and you really hone in on understanding that you're an effing warrior, you are a warrior every single day, and one step at a time, one moment at a time, get up one breath at a time. And, I promised the universe, God, quite a long time ago, that keep breath in my lungs and I'm just going to do better. I'm just going to do better. I don't promise anything else. I promise to do better. And some days that looks selfish. Some days that doesn't look selfish. We've buried we've lost a little one. I have been divorced before. Now I've found the love of my life. We have 2 gorgeous kids. 3 years ago, my husband was sleeping in a van across the country because yet again, we were pushing ourselves in our business and switched gears. And all we could afford was him, being at a campground, and showering at the Planet Fitness while I attempted to hold everything down and step into a role of building our schedule and still attending network meetings and budgeting and pivoting my time with the kids and the business and getting that set up for him. And then, damn, last year a hailstorm hit. So we end up, debt free, and we pay the techs the most that they've ever, probably been paying you on percentage. And just, just good things happen. Good things happen. And when you understand that you can walk through fire and you may shit your pants and you may vomit, but do it and still walk, still go, still move. And when you understand that, and then you take that breath and just understand that we really are all so powerful, great things happen.
And that's a belief right there. That's a belief. And I think beliefs are created by repeating something to yourself over and over until you believe it sometimes. So sometimes you can try to believe something, but the reality of the world tells you you're not supposed to because of all the things that can happen. Like, I believe that I'm going to have a great family life and you lose a kid. I believe I'm going to have a successful business and things fail and your husband has to go on the road and do that. Like, you can have the beliefs, right? And then the world can tell you you're not supposed to believe that. Like, you don't get to believe that. And then it's your choice. Do you keep believing it, or do you accept all the outside stimulus, all the outside responses, and change your mind? That's up to you.
Yeah.
And that's why I think things start with belief, because you will never achieve the things that you want to achieve if you don't believe it's possible. Because if you say, I want to grow like $1 million PDR business, you don't actually believe it, all the outside forces and all those things that happen in the world will make you not, because you'll change and fly where those things take you, and you'll never get the things you want. So I love the way you put it. You told me something the other day on the phone that you try to do 3 things every single day. It just popped in my head. I don't remember what they were. Can you remind me and everybody what those 3 things were? You don't remember either? You were just on a roll the other day. We were talking. Apparently,
I was probably like ranting off
you
and
were
left
going.
field.
You said you try to do 3 things. Oh, I can't remember what it is. I'm dying now. Okay, I'm gonna find it and put this.
So there are 3 things that I attempt to you make sure that I'm doing as far as being conscious, and that's something that sows into my family, the business and the community. So whether it's local community or the PDR community, just one thing, and it might be 9 o'clock at night, and boy, I might be tired as shit. And you know what I'm doing? I'm laying in there in bed. I'm like, okay, did I do my 3 things? Did I do those? Did I do those today? And sometimes I'm like, I forgot to say hi to somebody, and hope you had a great night, or just, it doesn't matter what it is. So I'll shoot a quick text. Hey girl, haven't talked to you in a while. Let's shoot the poo here in a couple weeks. Let me put you on the planner. Let's go grab a coffee. How's your business doing? Like, you have to, you have to, like, I just feel like you have to remind yourself, because we're so busy. The world keeps us busy and piled on, and we have to create boundaries, and respectful boundaries for ourselves, because otherwise you get lost. You guys, you get lost really, really quick. And then you're like, oh, let me do this. I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do this. Sure. I'm sure everything's important, but damn, can we breathe for a minute and focus and be vested, just a little bit?
Yeah.
So
that's what you were saying. You have 3 things you sow into your family, your business, and community on a daily basis. So take that information and make it what you want it to be for whoever's listening to it. What 2, 3, 4, 5 things can you do every single day? And then once you do them every single day for months, and then years, and then, multiple years over time, like, what things are you sowing into? Are you putting your effort into consciously on a daily basis? Because if it's not conscious, you're going to go to customers and to problems and fires and all that stuff. But what 4 things are you going to do every single day consistently forever? Because that's who you are, right? That's your identity.
Right. Well, and we have to be careful where we invest our time, right? So when, especially like, let's say the workshop, if I have a guy that's saying, I'm a solo dent guy, and maybe this speaks to somebody that's listening or watching, but, I don't have time to maybe do the things that you and Dwayne do, right? Okay. Yeah. Well, I got you. But I also see your butt on the forums making all these funny memes and, ifs and whatever you want to call them. If you have time for that, you have time to pick up the phone. You have that 5 extra minutes to call your spouse or your girlfriend and say, you know what, I'm thinking of you, babe. You have time to vest individually and within a group differently. You have to make the time. You have to choose where you're vesting and sowing into. It's not that shit just doesn't miraculously happen. It's just like a marriage. You have to work at it. Love, you have to work at love. You have to work at respect. You have to, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't just like you know, you don't get to a point you're like, ooh, I got that. And then you never, ever have to put anything else in it. Right. Like we have to be careful how we choose our time. So for me, those three things, you know, if it doesn't serve one, two, or all three of those, it literally has no room in my life.
Doesn't
Out.
happen. Love
Done.
it.
Done. If my conversations don't serve that, you know, if it's gossiping, if it doesn't, you know, serve those one or three things, it's gotta go. Gotta go.
That's awesome. I love that. As I'm sitting here listening to us talk, or mostly you talk.
Sorry.
No. I love that. That's why you're here. It's not for me to talk. It's not. That wasn't a knock on you. As I am listening to you talking and learning from what you're saying, I just had this pop in my head. I picture myself several years ago, and I probably wouldn't have listened to anything that you're saying, to be perfectly honest with you, because it's so eccentric, I guess, or I guess as some guys would say, feminine, I guess, because we're talking about like, you know, feelings, love, mindset, being vulnerable in other areas, setting boundaries. These are all things that, you know, even my old self, I'm not saying I'm wasn't this person, but I could hear guys listening to the podcast right now, guys specifically saying like, the fuck am I listening to right now? Like, why? I thought this was like a little bit about PDR.
Yeah.
What would you say to that? Like, what would you say to all those guys that are like, okay.
Yeah, that's easy. That's easy for me, to be honest. You know, I'm all about pumping myself up and saying I'm savage today. I'm on the grind. I'm on the hustle, blah, 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 right? But most of us lay our head down at night, close our eyes, and fantasize about something else that should be going on in our life. I really believe that, you know, I think a lot of, you know, it is okay to have pride. It is okay to have ego. It is okay to beat ourselves on the chest and tell each other that we're the mamma jam at PDR and this and that and this and that. But there's, PDR is my life. PDR is my family's life. So I don't, you know, I love to pump myself up, right? I love to be like, damn girl, look at that repair, you know, throw things off and do these things and like be, you know, relevant and keep out there and stuff. But sometimes when I feel like I'm doing too much of that, then I'm actually seeking something else. And I have to put myself in check. And I have to, you know, when I'm by myself in my quiet moment, laying my head down, if I'm putting that much effort and looking for validation from everybody else outside of that quick like accolade, then I probably need to revisit some more time with my husband, or I need to maybe reach out into a different type of conversation with somebody. And that's just me. You know what I mean? Everybody's different.
I think everybody's different, except we're all humans and we all have there's all certain things that we all can do. So I'm going to ask the question again. I'm going to clarify it. I'm going to say it a little bit more specifically. And I used to think this, and I've since changed my mind. I changed my beliefs on it. It's just, business is just marketing, sales, and making the dent as good as you can. That's what a lot of people think. And that's what I used to think. Like, okay, I got to shore up my marketing. I got to shore up my my sales skills. I gotta fix dents better. I gotta say I'm better. All that stuff. But I think what people don't really realize is that business is there's so much more behind that. Like you said, there's so much more intention to what you're doing. Building a brand around yourself, having beliefs that you're capable, all that type of stuff. So that's what I'm talking about. All the guys that are listening, and maybe some girls that are listening to this and saying like, it's just business and marketing. I don't know about all this beliefs and all this like pump myself up and all this like go through 3 things every day, all that stuff. Do you have anything to say about that? Like the stuff behind the front of what a business looks like. And you talk about it a lot. We've talked about it for hours on the phone. How necessary is that to be successful in business and life?
You know, for me, and this is something I touched in the workshop.
Yeah, we're going to go there next.
For me, it's all about the relationship You know, it's whether it's, you know, in business relationship with my client, so they know to come back each and every time to, when I, you know, say I've got 22 years in the car business, call me first, anything automotive related or anything you need, understand that I'm plugged in and I have relationships with other community members and I've
Hmm.
developed the trust factors, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Hmm.
Um, for me, it's a circle of influence. It's a circle of trust. I know it's
Yeah.
so manly, right? We want to talk about circle of trust, but I'm developing relationships constantly and building connections constantly. And that's a human element. So for me, instead of saying, oh, it's business, let me get my nice shirt on and let me get my nice shoes on and let me go walk into this insurance company and be so damn stiff and talk about business. I want to get to know who these people are and understand and have a human conversation and dialogue so that when I'm speaking to them, it's no different than how I'm speaking to you
Right.
guys right now. They know and get me. They understand my demeanor. They understand how I'm going to talk to their clients and they trust that. They
Hmm.
trust it. So I'm human. I want them to know I'm human. And that to me is business because for me, there's not like, personal Crystal and then there's business Crystal. Like it's all my freaking life,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I want to integrate my business and my life all in one
Hmm.
because it's not different. I don't put these different hats on anymore. And I used to think that I needed to. Like I'm not even crapping you guys. I literally would bring changes of clothes. I'd have like a professional set of clothes. I'd have my dirty
Really?
shop. Well, I would go from like a meeting and then I would change in the Burger King bathroom because I got to go do this. I got to go talk to this person. So I better present myself like this to this. And like, I was losing my shit. And I'm like, what am I doing?
Hmm.
Like, I got to be me. Like, this is me. This is how we're going to connect. This is how I'm going to service your client. This is how I'm going to help save you money. This is how I'm going to stand up and show up, not for myself, but for you and your business and your structure. And things just fall into place naturally
If
because
you
I'm like,
don't like it, that's okay.
that is okay.
If you don't like the real me, not the business version of Crystal, if you don't like me, then that's fine. We don't have to do business. I'm okay with that. Right.
Like I get it. Like I used to be that. I used to be like, let me get. I'm not saying I'm not trying to, you know, being professional in front of people and things like that.
Yeah, there's
But
a line. There's a line.
there's a line. I mean, you know, I'm not. I don't know. Anyways, so
There are
that's
some things that we don't put out in there into the world. We're not going and telling our dirtiest secrets and all that stuff. The point being is that you don't necessarily have to become a different person
right.
to get business. So with your workshop, right? We talked about it a little bit. It wasn't just pushing dents. That's the thing.
No.
It wasn't like there was some of that because it's important. Like we got
Sure.
to be able to fix dents and know how to use the new tools and the new lights and all that stuff. It's important. I get it. But there was so much more on the backside of that, of the stuff you need to do first, the mindset shifts you have to have, because I can, you and I both know that we can teach somebody how to make a sales call to a dealership, but do they do it? That's right. And why? And if they don't, why don't they? Something I like, a slogan or whatever you want to call it of mine, is that every business problem is actually a personal problem in disguise. So people say my business
Right.
isn't making enough money, and I'm like, hold on, you aren't creating enough value in your business. It's coming from you,
Correct.
not your business's fault. You don't get to blame your business. Your business is you,
Right.
right? And so that's why I was so excited to have this conversation, because like the PDR workshop it's not just pushing on dents. It's all the mindset and all of the overcoming all of the past obstacles, because we all have them. It sounds like some of the stuff you have is were very large obstacles to overcome, but the fact that
Mm-hmm.
you did overcome them made you into who you are today.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about the workshop a little bit. It's not just pushing; it's also getting metal to push, and learning how to do that. So talk about that.
Yeah. So the big part, you know, for me was having 6 topic discussions. So I developed worksheets, original worksheets, made booklets for everybody. You know, we had discussion topics such as community equals connection, your gifts or your success. I mean, there was six that, each led into the other. We
Mhm.
talked about many different things. So I mean, 10 minutes. If any of the attendees were here watching this or listening to this, they'll attest for this. I literally within 15 minutes said, look, if you don't have an open heart and an open mind in my shop as we speak, I will reimburse you and you should leave. Okay. Because this is not the place for you.
Mhm.
They, I wanted it to be a place where, I'm not trying to sing kumbaya to everybody and tell them it's going to be okay and pat them on the back and go. We wanted to meet them where they were. We had brand new techs all the way up to 20-year, Hale Tech looking to keep, establishing his local business. So we had three major topics that each discussion topic was wrapped around, and that was confidence, accountability, and community. Like personally, I feel like if you don't hone in to those things in a really deep way, you better start rethinking some things. And everybody might, have a different belief on that. But if you can't have accountability to yourself and stop lying to yourself, you're going to have some issues. Confidence, right? Know who you are, understand your attributes, understand how your attributes and gifts can be your success, meaning, if for your community, for your household, what that success looks like, what that journey looks like. We also talked about opportunity. I know everybody wants to say, hey, to get started in dent work, you should probably hit rock lots. Well, I agree, but maybe people are crapping their pants and they hate dealerships. Guess what? Maybe they love motorcycles and they start practicing, and they really, dig what they're doing, and they're doing a really good job, and maybe their market is saturated. So maybe they bust into the niche of motorcycle PDR. There's so many. We talked about opportunities in communities, connecting with the community in different context spheres. We talked about context spheres. We also, one of my favorite things was we also did breakaway sessions. So every 30 minutes, we had 5 team leaders, and every 5 minutes, we set a timer for 30 minutes. We set a timer for 30 minutes with each person, and then we rotated. So we got to do one-on-ones, and I don't know what everybody else discussed, but I expected people to show up in front of me and go through accountability steps. And then I've already had my accountability calls. The first one after 2 weeks. I want to hold these guys accountable. Don't sit in front of the mirror and bullshit yourself and bullshit me and think it's going to work. Let's make it work. What puzzle pieces do we need to draw together? Where is that missing link? What is it? Is it fear? Do you not have the right team support? Maybe your spouse is so exhausted on you, spending all the money and all the time, and you're not really doing anything with it and not really plugged in, that it's frustrating in the household. Like, what is the reality of that, so we can attempt to fix it? Let's celebrate the wins. You know what I mean? So we learned tips and tricks on metal, but man, we had a good time.
This is why I like you, because I asked you about the PDR workshop, the PDR, paintless dent repair workshop, and for the last 5 or 10 minutes, you talked about nothing about PDR.
I know.
Because it's so secondary. I mean, yes, if you can fix some dents, that's great. If you're a phenomenal dent technician, that's great. But none of that matters if you don't have all this other stuff. And then at the very end of that, and you're like, oh yeah, we worked on some dents. Yeah, I mean, like, whatever. That's why I find it fascinating, because that's the mindset that I have, and the belief that I have is that the focus needs to be so much more on all that other stuff than it is on just the dent repair. And the craftsmen and those people may disagree with that, and I'm okay with that. That's my belief. That's why I created what I created with the PDR Launchpad, and same thing with you with the workshop. Like, when I looked around, and to go back to the push metal thing, you looked around and said, there's no one doing this. And I looked around finally after coaching, and I'm like, man, if someone wants to get into PDR industry last year, really all you can do is go to a trainer. That's it.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, I want to go to PDR. Okay. Watch some YouTube videos, sign up for training online, go spend 10 to 20 grand to get training in person. That's it. And I'm like, but that's such a small portion of it. I mean, you need to know that to be in this industry, obviously, but like all the other stuff is so important. And that's why I created what I created. So,
Yep.
and I think probably what I'm doing and what you're doing are pretty similar in some ways. I mean, they're different because they got the Crystal brand on it, and I do things a little differently, but like we're in the same sphere. And that's why when I really figured out what the PDR workshop was, I'm like, this is awesome. This is good stuff. So thanks for doing it. That being said, I'm glad that several people came, and I hope that it gets bigger and grows over time.
Yeah, no, I'm going to keep doing it as long as I have fun doing it, and that's something else I've learned too is, understanding parts of me that want to be a part of anything and everything that, I can. I also have to learn to say no and, figure out what I'm dating, so to speak, and what I'm married to, and what can I be vested in, and what can I have passion towards and have fun. So as long as I keep having fun with it, I don't care if there's 3 people that show up or 10 people or 15 people, it's going to be valuable for those people that attend, right? Like the right people come to you, Corey, because they're seeking something different, right? So that's the crowd that, was there. They were in a place where they were seeking a different element, a different, level, a different kind of conversation. I wasn't there to pump them up and talk about how, badass and savage they are and how great of a dent guy they are. Cool. So happy for you that you can push dents. Yes, of course.
It's a great skill. It's a great skill.
Get your ass out there and let's move and make some money. Let's make some money with our passion and our dents and moving our metal, and let's learn in a different way together and journey together in a different, manner. And like you said, there's missing elements of that, in the industry, and some of it is taught and mentioned. But when these people go home, they don't always necessarily pick up the phone, and ask for additional seeking advice or hold themselves accountable. And, I realize I'm female, so I'm going to play the female card just for a little bit,
That's okay.
just a little. But when you usually don't have grown dent technicians, a typical conversation, I really don't picture them picking up the phone to another grown man that also wants to be, on the grind and on the hustle, like really diving into these things. So I think what was attractive was, I'm a dent wife. I'm a mom. I am accomplished. I've been through some shit. I have experience. I'm also 41 years old. I'm young, but not, you're right. And it's not my first day on the job.
I will not say anything about that.
And I am real, and we are doing something. We're in mid-Michigan. A mid-Michigan standalone PDR shop should not exist. And being able to pull together really fun opportunities with my push metal and combined it with our dent business and just do youth events and build messages around it. And it's a really cool thing, so people want to know more about it. So, and I don't have to sit there with my paper and be like, okay, this is what I learned and this is what I believe. Like, this is my life. I live it. This is my heart. It's my passion. I push my kids aside, and so does Dwayne. And we try to incorporate them as much as I can and have family time like everybody else does. But this is our life, and I wanted to share that with the people that were prepared to take that in and needed a different kind of change.
I have nothing to say after that. I think it's
sorry.
Great. That's okay.
I get in left field really quick.
Do it. I'm going to bring you back and follow the conversation. I know, speaking of pushing your kids aside, I know you said you have to go get them. You can't push them aside forever, because that's important. It's one of your 3 things that you need to do with your family. So I appreciate you coming on, sharing your thoughts about business and PDR and push metal and the workshop. If anybody doesn't know you or who you are, what you do, how can they find you, where to connect with you?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on. I get asked to come on quite a few podcasts lately, and if it doesn't apply to my current season, I kind of back burner that. And this fits exactly where I am. right here, right with you and right with what you're doing. And I appreciate you. So, gosh, you guys can hit me up on the CD Dents Facebook page, the Push Metal page. You can call, text. My phone number is public out there, 989-488-7960. If you want Push Metal gear, it's pushmetalgear.com. And
all the things.
Yeah, I'm here, guys. It's easy to find me. So
yes, it is. Well, hopefully we can connect back at MTE again. Since it
yes. Are you
sounds
going
like
to
they'll
Anderson?
happen.
You're
What's
going to
that?
be at Anderson? You're going to Anderson?
I am.
Okay. Yeah, we'll
Will
be
you
down there.
All right.
Mhm.
I'll see you there then.
Yeah.
That's gonna be exciting. Thank you.
All right.
We will talk
Thank
soon.
you. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.